Decision structures are the next important piece of programming that is found in essentially every application that's really been written so far. Whenever we take user input, we're almost always going to have to make some sort of decision based on the input that the user has given us. And this is what decision structures are going to allow us to do. So through a few examples, I'm going to demonstrate to you some of the common decision structures and sort of patterns that you'll see inside of the decision structures and give you a good idea of what sort of things you're able to do, not only in Python, but in any programming language. These if statements are going to be very similar to each other. So you'll get the general idea of this and you'll be able to replicate it in most languages, just utilizing the same sort of concepts. So I'm going to start with a very simple example. Let's suppose that we are taking an input from a user and we want to determine if the input is positive or negative. Those are the two outcomes that we're looking for, and we want to determine which it is. So from this, we're going to get a number, and we're going to get an input from the user that's just going to say, please enter a number, right? And as we've learned, we're going to have to convert this into a numeric value. Now, I'm going to assume that the values are going to be integers. We're just going to say that these are integer values just to keep everything nice and simple. So we're going to convert that to an integer, and we're going to store it inside of number. So the next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to have somehow check if number is greater than 0 or if number is less than 0. Those are our two situations, right? It's either positive or negative. Now, in order to be able to check that, we need to introduce a new concept, which is known as an if statement. An if statement is a way of being able to make a decision based on an input that's provided from a user. So, if we want to determine if a number that's inputted is greater than 0 or less than 0, we're going to start as follows. We're going to type in if, and then we're going to type in what we want to test. So I'm going to test if a number is greater than 0. Then we put a little colon at the end. What's going to happen is we're going to tell Python if number is greater than 0, take these sets of actions. And then we're going to say, well, otherwise take this different set of actions. That's sort of the general structure of what we're going to be looking at. The way that we tell Python that the actions are going to be taken for when the number is greater than 0 is by indenting it one indent in. So you can see that my cursor is now one indent further in than it usually is. This means that these things are going to happen only on the case where the condition is true, where number is greater than 0. So in this case, I can do something like print positive. What will happen is if the number is greater than 0, it will print out positive. Otherwise, right now, it's going to print out nothing, right? And like if we want to remedy that, we can simply put like a print here that just says done, for instance, right? Since this isn't indented, this will always execute no matter what the result of the if statement is. So if the number is greater than 0, it's going to print positive. And then it's going to print done, right? So we'll always print this done part at the end since it's not indented, it isn't reliant on any sort of condition, meaning that will always run no matter what. Now, when we do this, if number is not greater than 0, it will just skip over the indented parts and print done. So that's the way to understand these sort of structures. Everything that's indented runs with the condition. Everything that's not indented will run no matter what. So that's the general sort of structure of that. So right now, if I were to run this program, what I would get is if I input a number that is greater than 0, say 10, it would say positive and then done. If we're going to input a number that's not greater than 0, say -1, it will just say done because the number is not positive, therefore the condition isn't satisfied, right? Now, if I wanted to print negative, if the number is equal to -1, we just need to add a little piece onto this if statement, and that is known as an else. What the else does is it essentially says every other case, so when the number isn't greater than 0, everything else that could possibly happen, we're going to do this action. So we're going to print negative in this case. So the general flow again is if the number is greater than 0, we'll print positive, and then we'll skip all the way to done, right? This else part is only going to execute when number is not greater than 0. So when this condition fails, it goes to the else, and it does everything that's indented. So the stuff that's indented after the else only happens when the condition fails, the first condition. The first condition stuff will happen when the first condition is satisfied, right? So now you can see if we run this and input something like -1, we get negative and then done, right? So that's the general idea of like the if-else sort of structure. So this is the sort of basic if statement structure that you'll see in a ton of different applications. This is extremely common types of logic that will happen regardless of the programming language that you're working with. Now, there is one other situation that we could potentially have. Suppose we wanted to look at cases where the number is equal to 0. You'll notice that if a number is equal to 0, right now it will say negative because it's not greater than or equal to. And well, really, the number 0 isn't positive either, technically. It's sort of like its own sort of thing. It's 0, right? It has no quantity. It's not really negative or positive, right? So in that case, we might want to print out something like 0. If we want to do something like that, we have to modify this if statement a little bit. We have to change this else into something slightly different, known as an else if, or elif in Python. What elif does is it says, well, if the first condition fails, go to this next segment and check another condition after that. So we're going to say, for instance, elif number is less than 0, right? What this will do is it will say, so if the number is greater than 0, it prints positive, and then it prints done. If the number is not greater than 0, it comes down here and says, well, is the number less than 0? If the number is less than 0, then it prints negative. If the number is not less than 0, then it does nothing. So that's sort of the general flow of what an elif statement does. And then from here, we can simply put in another else statement and print 0. So now here the general flow is if the number is greater than 0, we print positive. If the number is less than 0, we print negative. If it's in neither of those two cases, so if it's not greater than 0 and it's not less than 0, we know it has to be equal to 0, right? So then we print 0, right? So that's the general flow of that logic, right? So you can have if, and then you can have elif, and then you could have else, for instance. Or you could just have if and elif. Or you can have if with a whole bunch of elifs and an else. You can have as many elifs as you want. You can have one if and one else, but you can have as many elifs as you want, right? And then, yeah, you can have like multiple if statements with different ifs and elifs, right? So, you know, I could put another like if statement underneath here and have like some else's associated with that, right? It's just like in a general if statement structure, we can have as many elifs as we want, but only one else is typically allowed for that. So this is the general idea of this, and I want to give you a few other sort of like tips on like what sort of operators we can use inside of these conditions, right? So you saw it here that we showed off like greater than, we showed off less than. Of course, there's greater than or equal to, which looks like this, and then there's less than or equal to, which looks like this. And then aside from that, we also have equality or equals, which is done with two equal signs. These two equal signs only happen for equality because if you recall, a single equal sign is for assignment. So to differentiate between the two, Python uses two equal signs to do equals and then one equal sign to do assignments, right? And then finally, we can also do does not equal using exclamation mark equals. So that would be does not equals. So those are the sort of Boolean operators that we can typically use. You know, equals, does not equals, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to are the main ones. Now, these are always operators that will result in either true or false, right? They're Boolean operators. So there's only two different operations that can come out of each of these comparisons. So it's either true or it's false, which is why our structures generally look like if else or if elif, right? So one final thing that we can do in here is we can actually do multiple comparisons inside of a single if statement. So to discuss a little bit about that, we'll take a look at maybe a different scenario here because there might be one that makes a little bit more sense than this for that sort of application. So let's suppose that we were writing an application to allow someone to enter into a web page if their age is greater than 18, for instance. One might have logic that says like age equals int, input, enter your age. And then we could say if age is greater than 18, print like allowed in, and then else print access denied. Right, this would be some simple logic for something like that. They input their age. If their age is greater than 18, they're allowed in. Otherwise, they're denied access. So in every other case, they aren't allowed in, right? Now, in this sort of situation, we may eventually want to add like another sort of condition to allow someone for access. Like maybe they're given permission by their parents or something like that. So we could say permission equals input. Do you have permission? And we could say this is either yes or no, right? So then in these sort of situations, rather than saying like if the age is greater than 18, there's another sort of condition that we can check here. We may want to check if they also have permission, right? And now there's a few different ways that we can do this. The first way would be like this. We could say elif permission equals y and age is less than or equal to 18. This could be a way that we could potentially do this, right? So what's significant here is this and. What this and does is it says that this condition is true and this condition is true as well. So it checks that both of the conditions are true at the same time, right? That's the whole idea of an and statement. There's a complementary sort of statement as well, known as an or statement. What the or statement does is it checks if one of the conditions is true. So the only time it fails is if all of the conditions are false. So what I mean by this is, say, with this or statement here, it would be either their permission is equal to y or the age is less than or equal to 18. So if either of those two things are true, then they'll get the access denied message. However, if we have and here, it will check if both of the conditions are true. And if both of the conditions are true, then we can say, we can do something like allowed in, right? Because in this case, they have permission and their age is less than or equal to 18, which means that they should be allowed into the web page. That'd be the idea of the and logic. And then we could have like an else here that will essentially say print access denied. Right? So this would be the idea of like doing things like and as well as or, right? And will ensure that both of the conditions are true, or really it doesn't have to be two conditions. It could be any amount of conditions. It will make sure that all of those conditions are true. Or we'll make sure that at least one of the conditions is true. It could be all of the conditions are true, multiple conditions are true, but at least one of them is true. If all of them are false, then the whole thing fails. So taking a look at this if statement, one thing that we can see here is that we actually can consolidate some of the logic together. So you can see that both of these situations result in allowed in. So what I can actually do is I could combine them together. I could say age is greater than 18, or permission equals y and age is less than or equal to 18, right? And then I can just remove this condition altogether. What this does is it says, so if the age is greater than 18, this would be true, which means that one of the statements are true, so they're allowed in, right? However, if the age isn't greater than 18, we're next going to check if the permission equals yes and the age is less than or equal to 18. If this whole part is true here, meaning that the permission equals yes and the age is less than or equal to 18, then this condition will be true, meaning one of the conditions is true, meaning that they're allowed in. So as you can see, this sort of Boolean logic with the ors and ands allows us to combine if statements together, which allows us to sort of consolidate our logic and check more things at once. Now, there are a few other Boolean operators that are common, things like not, as well as things like XOR, for instance, and we'll discuss those a little bit later. They don't really make as much sense to work with in these sort of simple situations. However, there are a lot of applications for them, and they will show up, and we'll discuss them as they come up. Specifically in things like lists and that sort of thing, you'll see things like not in or that sort of idea. So we'll definitely discuss that sort of logic as well. However, for now, we'll stick with these sort of simple operators that give you a good idea of how we can write if statements and decision structures. And through this, you should be able to write very simple applications that take an input and make decisions based on that input.